Hi, I'm Tova. If you are new to my channel, welcome. I am a registered associate marriage and family therapist and a provisional registered drama therapist. I work online with adults and couples here in California. I provide supports in areas like weight loss, emotional eating, relationship growth, spirituality, creative self-exploration, and personal growth. Today, in today's video, I want to share with you something that has been on my mind lately. Kind of thinking about it as like a gentle shift in focus that can be really helpful, particularly if you are struggling with your weight. So, something that I see a lot, especially online, is a kind of black and white thinking around certain foods or categories of foods or even identities that people might have. Kind of like, thinking that if you just cut out dairy or gluten or, accept that you're a food addict, you'll be able to control your eating, become healthy, and live happily ever after, right? Like that's kind of the narrative. Like this perfect diet will be like the rosy path to happily ever after. And of course, it's true that some people do have medical reasons to adhere to certain ways of eating, or to eliminate certain foods from their diet, and that's very valid. But in the absence of those medical conditions, I think that having rigid rules around eating can actually be very problematic. And then, side note, I in particular, I find that the term food addict can be really disempowering for people because it can become a self-fulfilling prophecy and really take away a person's own agency, and feeling of choice that when they're eating. Because it's kind of like if you're a food addict, then there's only one way to behave around food or around certain foods, and that's kind of out of control, right? But if you didn't have that label, it's kind of like taking back some of that agency and some of that ownership of the choices that you make. Because the reality is that we as humans, basically probably like all have a tendency to crave or want certain food combinations. And we all have the capacity to learn new responses to cravings and to inner experiences that have historically led us to eat in ways that do not serve us, right? We have a choice. And when we identify as a food addict, we kind of abdicate that choice that we're making. And of course, with that said, there is a component of sound nutrition that serves people, not just in weight loss, but overall health. And that is absolutely something that I do talk about with clients. But anyway, in general, more globally, I think that it can be really helpful to slow down and bring awareness not just to the content of what we're eating, but really the actual process of eating. And so what that means is noticing and paying attention to, thinking about, oh, what is happening in my life, like stress-wise, emotionally, relationally. What is the function or purpose or meaning that eating has for me in this moment? Is it to soothe myself, to comfort myself, to distract, to avoid something? Or is it because, it's been a few hours and I haven't eaten and I'm making, an informed and intentional choice to eat something? What feels supportive to me right now? Is it always food or is it maybe something else? What rhythms actually help me feel good in my body, physically, emotionally, spiritually, cognitively. Kind of just thinking along those lines, like what's happening before you eat, while you eat, and after you eat. How do you feel? Um, and when we start to bring awareness and really compassion to those patterns instead of like judgments or criticism, self-criticism, everything starts to shift. And this really encourages like that energetic shift into a state of curiosity, which can be really a fun place to hang out. Like, oh, do I need to listen to this thought that tells me I need to eat X food? Like, what happens if I don't like obey it right away? Like, does it go away? Do I need to? Am I able to? Kind of just being curious about what we're experiencing and how we're relating to those experiences. Because sometimes the most powerful thing we can do is to expand So our choices, our tools, and really our understanding of ourselves, and particularly for folks who struggle with emotional eating or weight, that can really serve as a doorway into really deep personal transformation. And so that's really the kind of work that I really love doing, is kind of slowing down, helping people notice what's underneath, and finding new ways to relate to food and to inner experiences that actually feel sustainable and kind. So if this resonates to you, maybe just take it as an invitation to pause, to be gentle with yourself, and to start asking new questions. Thanks for being here with me.